Welcome to the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network. I'm the Gothic Rose, and this is the dark tale of the day. Welcome back, dear fiends of the Den. I am that Rose Noir, your underground icon, back in the den, back on the mic, and still demonetized. But it's been a while since I have done a haunted history of Hollywood, and today I have a true haunted story from it began in 1929. You've heard me speak about Pickfair, the White House of the West, so to speak, the cultural center of Los Angeles, owned by Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks, two founders of United Artists. But after their divorce, Pickfair was no more. And that is when the hauntings began. So let's dive in. The Lady of Pickfair. Some say Mary Pickford never left her dream home. It was Hollywood 1929, and the champagne had gone flat. The laughter echoes gone. And somewhere in the shadows of Pickfair, something has been stirring. It was the White House of the West. It wasn't just a mansion. It was a myth built for Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks, silent film royalty. It hosted kings, presidents, and stars beneath its chandeliers. But behind that velvet curtain, the golden couple unraveled. After their divorce in 1929, Douglas Fairbanks fled to Europe, and Mary stayed in Hollywood alone. She watched her parties fade into memory. It was very Great Gatsby-esque. Now, everyone started to say that they heard strange whispering sounds, all the staff, and footsteps in these empty halls. Mary told her maid, "He visits me now, but only when the lights go out." So was a portion of Douglas Fairbanks' soul left at Pickfair? Mary Pickford spent hours in the mirror room with floor to ceiling glass. She said they helped her see the truth. But after Douglas Fairbanks left, she covered them in black velvet. One director actually claimed that the reason Mary Pickford did this is she took on some dark energy and claimed that her reflection blinked, although Mary didn't. Now, in the 1920s, spiritualism and occultism was on the rise, and people were making homemade spirit boards. I found out my grandmother made homemade spirit boards. So this has been going on forever. Maybe she tried to do some sort of spiritualist ritual to get Douglas Fairbanks back. But now, after her death in 1979, the mansion changed hands, and actress Pia Zadora purchased it and moved in. Now, her husband, Pia Zadora's husband, claimed he saw Mary's ghost gliding down the staircase, her gown a trailing mist. Doors opened on their own, and chandeliers swayed without a wind. And a woman's voice hummed in the dark. Pia Zadora's husband said about his encounter with the ghost of Mary Pickford, "She looked right at me, and I felt shame interesting. Like she did not want anyone in her house. Now, in 1990, the Pickfair mansion was sold and demolished because the new owners said it was beyond repair. But the night before, neighbors saw lights flickering inside, and one neighbor swore Mary's silhouette stood in the window upstairs, watching over the city that had forgotten her. Even now, the land is restless. Where Pickfair once stood, gardenias bloom out of season and piano music drifts across the halls. And sometimes a woman in white walks the perimeter in search for something lost. So I think that Mary Pickford was emotionally attached to Pickfair. And when she lost it, her spirit became restless. It's interesting because so many people say that they saw Mary Pickford in the mirror once her spirit found out that Pickfair was going to be demolished, that he saw her in the mirror with her eyes hollow and her lips mouthing, "Don't let them tear it down." So she really was connected to what she built. And it's now gone forever. And I think it should have been a historical landmark. Let me know what you think of this true Hollywood ghost story, because it's pretty creepy. But I love the creepy. I live in a haunted house. I've lived in haunted houses a few times. I enjoy them. But I also believe that historical landmarks like Pickfair should be preserved and not ever be allowed to be demolished. But look what Kanye did to Frank Lloyd Wright's house. And there are so many more instances of homes being demolished for newer, bigger, better that should be historically preserved if they can be. So thank you for joining me on this haunted history of Hollywood. Let's get to the trivia question and answer. The question: why was Clara Bow added to the cast of the 1927 film Wings after the script was already written? A, she was Paramount's biggest star. B, she was dating the director. Or C, she threatened to quit the studio. The answer to why Clara Bow was added to the 1927 film Wings after the script was written was she was Paramount's biggest star, Hollywood's it girl. She was there for commercial appeal. So her presence was seen as essential to attract audiences, even though the story was originally conceived as a male centric war drama. And the director, William A. Wellman, reportedly wasn't thrilled about the addition, feeling that Bow's role was shoehorned into the narrative. Nonetheless, she played Mary Preston, a devoted girl next door who adds emotional depth and romantic tensions to the film. Despite the late addition, Bow's performance helped humanize the story and connect it to the broader public. So that is why she was there. She had her 7-year contract, which is often why they included certain stars in films at the time. Here's another bit of trivia for you from the 1920s, the rise of the talkies. What was the name of the first feature-length film with synchronized dialogue released in 1927 that marked the beginning of the talkie era? A, Metropolis. B, The Jazz Singer. C, Wings. Or D, Sunrise. Here's a hint. I've already done a podcast about it, so look through the haunted history of Hollywood, and thank you so much for joining me on this episode in the Den. If you have any stories you'd like to share or would like to be a guest in the Den, please email me at welcometothedenpodcast@gmail.com. must be 21 and over. And if you like dark, creepy stories as much as I do here in the den, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And as always, thank you for joining me here at the Dark Entertainment Network.